welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Katelyn and I like to film eyeshadow palette, ranking and review videos, as well as the occasional other content sprinkled in. So if you like indie makeup, if you like eyeshadow palettes, if you like me, I highly recommend that you hit that subscribe button because I post 2 videos every single week. And for those of you that are not new here, my face is happy that you are seeing it again. And you are seeing what is going to be day 7 on day 1, but I forgot to film an intro. So what I wanted to do is a makeup diaries video a la Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner. I will make sure to link her most recent makeup diaries down below because she does do that video frequently. And it's one of my favorites on her channel. And a lot of you, when I had posted something just talking about like different content, not wanting to do like new reviews all the time, a lot of you mentioned that Annette's makeup diaries videos are your favorites too. So here is my makeup diaries. And yeah, you're gonna get 7 looks. This is again look number 7. Fair warning, if you remember this by the time you get to look 7, the audio might be off because I just realized I didn't have my mic plugged in and I don't feel like refilming it. So anyways, but yeah, let's go ahead and show you past me from day number 1. Day 1 of the however many days I decided to do that you found out maybe in the intro or it's in the title or something, I don't know. You'll see if you don't already know. But this is our first look for this makeup diaries video. Here it is. So I knew I was gonna wear this shirt, but I really wanted to play with the Adept Element 115 palette. But if you look at the palette, I just wasn't, I mean, it's like a cream shirt, so like, yeah, I probably would have been fine, but it just wasn't quite the vibe I was wanting for today. I was going to my mom's house to decorate Christmas cookies and yeah, just spend some time with family. So not that my family would care. I've worn pretty crazier makeup with them, but I don't know. I just was like not feeling the blues. But I've been wanting to use this like weather balloon shade. Caught my attention when I first saw the palette. And I was looking at it and I'm like, I could pair it with the teal, but I don't know. Like I just wanted to pair it with like neutrals. That was just like when I sat down to do my makeup this morning, that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I did. So I used this palette. I used the shades Weather Balloon and Gimbal Video. So Gimbal Video's here, Weather Balloon's there. I did my makeup several hours ago, so I had some creasing with Weather Balloon, but I just tapped it out with the same brush I used earlier. I don't have any additional product on it, and I just smoothed out where the creasing was. So you might see some fading and whatever, but I think it still looks pretty good for the day. Pretty consistent with how it looked all day. So that was that. For the mattes, I actually used a few palettes. I figured if I'm doing a makeup diaries, I can use as many palettes as I want to because I didn't film this for anything else. But I used the Isom Cosmetics Balance, the number 1, the Artistry palette. This is the all matte palette. So I used these 2 mattes over here, like 1, 2, and then we used this one here, and then I lightened my brow bone with that one, and then I tried to do the matte white in the inner corner. The matte white on this isn't my favorite. It's pretty light, so then because it wasn't quite bright enough in the inner corner, I decided to pull out my Isom Artistry number 2 palette, which is the corresponding shimmers to that, and I used the satin white shade up top there. So that's how we did the eye look. If you're curious about my lashes, I have the Melt Cosmetics Leo lashes. I think I've talked about these lashes a couple of times, and I've mentioned when I first used them, it was a while ago, I did not like them. I feel like I remember in a video saying like that they were like not my favorite. I didn't like them at all. As I've used them a few more times, I feel like I got like the hang of them, and I actually really like these now, especially on days where I'm not doing liner. I did tight line both like my lower and upper waterline with the Smashbox Sumatra liner. It's just this like brown liner. And then on the face, we have the Hourglass and like the jellyfish one. I just used the bronzer, surprisingly. And when I went in with my cream blush, I used this Soft Plumping Blush Veil in Barely Blushing from Makeup by Mario. And then I went over it once I powdered with the Simply Posh Cozy Cabin. I mixed this shade, and this shade to create my own blush shade. And then my highlight is the shade Miracle. And then for the cream products, I also use my Danessa Myricks contour balm. I contoured with that. And then I also use my Hollywood Flawless filter for like my liquid highlight. But anyways, I did all like cream liquid products, and then I powder, and then I went in with all the powder products. But yeah, I don't know if you guys care, but for the sake of the whole video, the foundation that I've been using is a combination of the Dior Forever and the YSL All Hours foundation. I mix these two together, and I'm able to get pretty much my perfect shade. That's it for day one. So let me take you to day two. Okay, here is look number 2, day number 2, whatever. All right, so I was fully prepared to dislike this palette because I didn't like the Chucky one. I used the Ghostface one and was like, it's okay, nothing special. So then this one was sitting here and I've been waiting. This is the Friday the 13th palette, by the way, from Glamlite. But I was sitting here waiting to use it and like holding off because I'm like, I'm just not gonna like this either, I know it. Anyways, so I went in with the shade Death Curse, worked fine, dark brown, you know, whatever. And then I went in with Unlucky Day, and I was like, it is the same issue where it's too dark for me and it's just not gonna work. And if this shade is too dark for me, like, what am I gonna do with this? So I was like, already annoyed. And then I decided, you know what, just grab a big fluffy brush with nothing on it and see if you can blend it out, because I had already put this shade in my crease and it was really dark. Anyways, it blended out nicely. Like, I didn't use even translucent powder. Like, I just took a big fluffy brush and it blended out okay. So I might, but my issue with the Chucky palette was more that it was more monochromatic than it looked. So I could maybe try that with the Chucky palette. This shade wasn't as dark as the shades in the Chucky palette, but anyways, that was fine. This shimmer is actually a light shimmer. It works for me. I love it. The silver is really nice. And then I used the greens at the bottom. Again, they applied dark, but then when I blended it out, as you can see, they sheer out nicely without getting super patchy, but retain some of that like murkiness to them. I like this. I'm really happy with this. So I can admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong this morning. I was like, I was ready to be so mad about it. But anyways, so that is the only palette I'm using on the eyes. And then on my face, I don't know where that cut off or if the sound cut off. Anyways, on my eyes is just the Friday the 13th palette. I didn't add anything else. And then on my face, I have the Natasha Denona My Dream Cheek Trio in the blush and highlighter palette. And then we have the Moon Prism blush for powder over the top of this cream blush. I used the cream and powder highlighter here. And then I'm using my Gucci bronzer and then the Danessa Myricks contour balm. Same foundations as yesterday. I don't think I mentioned my concealer yesterday. I used the NARS Light Reflecting Eye Brightener in Night Swan, and then I go over it with the Radiant Creamy Concealer in Light 1.25. Those are the two that I put. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the makeup today. I'm really happy with how this look turned out, and I have to go to a meeting, so let me know what you think, and let's move on to the next day. All right. It is day 3, and I will be honest, this makeup has been on for about 12 hours. This eye look has faded significantly. The shimmers in the center of the lid were much brighter, much sparklier, but I didn't feel like touching them up. I didn't feel like adding lashes, and I didn't feel like reapplying my lip product. So all I have is a lip oil on because I'm about to take this off to go to bed. But I didn't want to miss sharing what I used. So for the eye look, I used the P. Louise Droplet of Magic palette. So what we used was the shades on this side of the palette. And sorry, I'm flashing you. Okay, there we go. So I used this gray Nightmare, this one Toil and Trouble, this one Full Moon, and then deepened that up with the, and flashing you guys again, with the darkest purple over here, Witch O'Clock, and then the center of the lid I had the shade Cursed right there, and then tapping over that, I went in on this side to the shade Dead End right there. My initial thoughts on this palette are that I don't know that I needed this one as much as I felt like I did. Obviously you don't need makeup, period, in general. Don't have to wear makeup if you don't want to, but I felt like, oh, like that's such a beautiful color story. I don't have anything like that and really wanted it. And then now that I have it, I'm like, I could have done this exact look, probably combining my Violette Vespertine and Violette Étendue palettes from Viseart and gotten the same effect, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I tried this P. Louise shimmer just using my finger, and it was not, like, it was not anything that special. I felt like, so the shimmers in that I've noticed, because obviously this palette and Hocus Pocus are my first time using P. Louise, but the shimmer formula I've noticed is that kind of, it's like the creamy shimmer formula where like when you put your finger or your brush in it, the whole thing sort of moves around. And I like to describe that as like a putty texture, because I don't feel like it's creamy. Like I have eyeshadows that are creamy but stay solid. To me, it feels like a thick putty that kind of chunks off, and it's just not my favorite shimmer texture, because I typically pick my shimmers up with a brush. So that's what I had done with when I did the Hocus Pocus look, and I felt like the shimmer was fine. Wasn't anything to write home about, but I decided on this one that I would use my finger, and I feel like it was more lackluster. I don't know, and I thought like fingers are supposed to like give it, you know, maybe it's just this one shade, but yeah, I really liked the mattes. Oh, I didn't mention that I also used the Nightshade Ultra Matte Gel Liner from Melt and Bailey Sarian, and I liked the I liked the monochromaticness of the look while still being like a more interesting purple. But yeah, it just wasn't, it wasn't my favorite. And if you're looking and you're like, oh, but the shimmer on the inner corner of your lid looks so beautiful. Yeah, that was the Blend Bunny Noctilucent highlighter palette. I used the shade Far Out on my inner corner, and I honestly thought this was a pink highlighter this whole time until I put it right there, and I thought, oh, that's a purple highlighter. And then I looked and I was like, oh, they tell you it's a purple highlighter, and I literally thought it was pink this whole time. But anyways, I also have that on my face, and then on my cheeks I'm using my Gucci bronzer and the Blend Bunny Bare Cheeks palette. I mixed the two shades Baby Girl and Love Me for my blush, and then I already told you the highlight. And then I didn't use contour today. Oh, I switched up my foundation, and I used the Danessa Myricks Serum Skin Tint, the Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint in the shade 1, and then also powdered with the Kosas Cloud Set Powder in Airy, mainly because I was on a time crunch, and when I'm in a time crunch, I just feel like I just want to throw a skin tint on really quickly. It's a little bit faster. I don't have to be as precise because it's not as like full coverage. So anyways, that's what we did. I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have the balm on. I kept my same concealer, under eye products that I've mentioned in the other videos. What else? I think that's it. Yeah, anyways, so this look was okay. What's really funny about this look is I was like, okay, I'm gonna try, I started with the grays because I was like, I'm gonna try and do like a soft, more neutral, like wearable look for work using this palette because I had some important meetings today. And then this was the look I did. And I went into the meetings and they were like, oh, I love your purple eyeshadow. And I was like, thank you. They were like, it's so colorful. I was like, I could be more colorful than this. But I didn't say that to them. But I was like, oh yeah, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But anyways, yeah, I'm like torn on this one in the Hocus Pocus palette because everything I thought was going to annoy me about these palettes does annoy me. And I don't know that the quality is like good enough to be worth it. Like I'm willing to put up with some stuff that irritates me if it's like blows my mind amazing, but that's not those. So I don't know. I'm trying to decide. They might be on the chopping block and I might give it like a couple months to see if I reach for them. But if not, I might just get rid of them because like they might just be a regret. I just should have probably not purchased them. But anyways, that's enough about that. Let's move on to look number 4. Okay, day number 4. I'm kind of obsessed with this look actually, and I will tell you why I'm surprised about that, because I want to use my Gourmande Girls Doodles by the Bunny Silent Night palette, but I created a rule for myself where until I've used every shade and every palette from a brand, I'm not supposed to really be buying the new palette, but I cheated and bought that one anyway. And so I haven't reached for it yet because I needed to finish off Haunted and Nightshade. So I had one shade left to use in the shade, or in the palette Haunted, and it was the shade Eerie, this green shimmer here. So that's what you see on the front of my lid. And then I had, I think, 4 shades in Nightshade. So I had this yellow here, this green here, this green down here, and then this purple shimmer, which is what you see in my inner corner, but it like matches my sweater perfectly. So I think it's really fun. But anyways, now done, officially done using those palettes. I do really like both of these palettes. I think I prefer the color story on Haunted more than Nightshade, which is surprising because this has more purples, but I just feel like there's a little bit more variety in here. I do struggle a little bit like looking at them to do some, like for Nightshade in particular, to do something not monochromatic, which today is technically monochromatic with just a pop on the inner corner, and maybe that's okay, but every look I've done with this palette has either been purple, green, or like dark and smoky. Like I haven't figured out like how to mix and match that for myself. I have less trouble with that on this one, but I do feel like the shade Obsessed and So Haunted are like a little bit too similar for me. Same with Cursed and Horrify. I feel like we could have had a little bit more variety in these mattes, but I do still really like this. And then the shimmers are stunning. Like this is gorgeous. I've been enjoying that one. So anyways, let's talk about what else is on my eyes. So I have the MUA lashes in the style Onyx. Those are the lashes that you see on my lips. I have the About Face Lip Color Butter in Peach Punisher. And on my cheeks, I did my cream contour, the Danessa Myricks one. For blush, I did the About Face Cheek Freak in Champagne Room, and then I used my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter for like my liquid highlight. Went over it with my Dior and YSL foundation, and then powder products, used my Gucci bronzer, used the Blend Bunny Bare Cheeks palette, and then used the Blend Bunny Noctilucent palette. So that's everything pretty much. Oh, if you were curious, on the Noctilucent palette, I reached for the green highlighter transient on the face, and then like I said, I used the Haunted, or not the Haunted shade, the Nightshade, the light purple metallic is on the inner corner. But yeah, day 4. I know I'm gonna do at least one more so that you can see Silent Night. I do want to test out the like stripey shades on Element 115, so we might circle back to that palette. So there might be 2 more looks, so we might hit 6, but then if I hit 6 I might as well hit 7, right? Like a full week. You already know from the title. I personally at this moment in time don't know yet. Okay, day, is it 5? I think it's 5. And I have things to say, talk about this palette, which is the Silent Night palette, a collab between Gourmande Girls, Doodles by the Bunny. Here is the inside of the palette. So today was my first time using this palette, and I used the shades Heavenly, Twinkle, All Is Calm, and Savior in like my crease and then like a smoked wing situation. And I'm not talking about the shimmers yet because I want to say, so I had just those mattes and it looked like so good. I was tempted to just take the matte white Snowy and put that on a lid and like leave it as an all matte look. I was like really tempted to do that because I had a meeting that I was going to have to present in, so I was like, maybe I just go all matte. But then I was like, oh, for the sake of this video that would be boring. So I'm like, okay, so let's use Peace, which is what I had initially intended to. Honestly, this is the shade that sold me on the palette when I saw the reveal, and that is the shade that's on my lid, and it is freaking stunning. It is so beautiful, and it looked like so good with just those mattes and that shade. I was like, yes, let me just put the matte white on the inner corner and call it a day. And it was like a stunning neutral look. And I'm gonna say something that may or may not be controversial, but it was giving me Pat McGrath vibes. And now I've never used a mothership, okay? I haven't, so I can't totally speak to that. But I just felt like the neutrals looked so pretty with this iridescent shimmer on top that I was like, I could see people thinking that I had Pat McGrath on the lids. But anyways, What I then did, because my meeting got canceled, so I didn't have to present anymore, I added the shade Frosty to the inner corner and the shade Starry as like a little pop of blue on the lower lash line, and that made this a little bit more colorful. It's definitely a different vibe, but I still thought it was fun, and I got to try out more shades in the palette. But yeah, I think this is really, really pretty. I like this a lot. I just watched Jamila's video about like leaving the indie community, and it's a little bit of a clickbaity title, but essentially the video is just talking about how indie makeup pricing has gotten a bit out of control, and there's things that they're saying feed into the pricing, but like, you know, there's certain things that you're just like, really, you know, like side-eyeing a little bit. I'm gonna link her video down below just because I thought it was really good. It was really interesting and very thought-provoking, and she's definitely not saying like definitively any specific brand is overpricing their stuff. She's just, you know, giving some consideration. So that being said, what I think would be helpful going forward is for me to try and think through like, okay, how much did this cost? What am I getting? And then what I've always struggled and why I've never mentioned or talked about prices before is because, like, so this palette, for example, is $54.99. $54.99 to me might be different. Like, what that means to me might be different than what it means to you. So, like, your money is your money. You just decide what you want to do with it, and you decide what that means. But I'll just give a little bit of a breakdown. So we have obviously the slim cardboard packaging. It feels nice, like it's I don't know how to describe it. It's like smooth, but it is pretty thin. You do get a mirror in here, and then these pans I don't believe are magnetic. If I'm wrong on that, let me know, but I'm almost positive Gourmande Girls does not have magnetic pans. At that price, when it gave me like what I was thinking as I was applying my makeup, and I initially went like, oh, that could be Pat McGrath, like those mattes blended so nicely. That shimmer looks gorgeous on the lid, and you're getting like a 14 pan palette, and like Pat's Motherships are like, you know, like I said, I haven't used the Mothership, so like maybe we'd be better off comparing it to some of her other palettes, which like are what, the Celestial, like the bigger Celestial ones. Those are the ones I've tried, and then the Bridgerton one. But you know, I feel like this is a more affordable option with a very similar, if not slightly better shimmer formula than what I found in those Pat McGrath palettes. I don't know if this is like comparable to her Motherships. Like I said, I've never tried it, so I don't want to speak on something that I haven't tried. But like that, I would say, now again, and this is a point that Jamila raised, is like, you're not, like, Pat's name does carry weight, and there is luxury in that packaging. Obviously, I'm mentioning the Celestial palettes, they're cardboard, but they are luxury, like more luxurious. They have the plastic in there that makes them a little bit more heavy and more weighted. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is you're getting Pat's name, who is a celebrity makeup artist who has like earned the right to like charge a hefty price at her name. But this is a collab with Doodles by the Bunny, so I do feel like, you know, that is also what you're paying for. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this is like I try to compare it to, like, I'm thinking through like what else is like $55-ish that you could get at like Ulta or Sephora, and I feel like that would be like Too Faced, Urban Decay. This is way better than Too Faced and Urban Decay. So anyways, take that information as you would like. But I really, really like this one. And I mentioned in my recent ranking every palette I tried in 2023, this palette got an honorable mention because I hadn't tried it yet, because I thought I wasn't going to have time to film today, which, you know, things changed and I probably could have. But anyways, where I would put this palette in that ranking, I said in the ranking video, I would tell you all in this video where I would put it. And I'd put it probably, it would be in the really like category. Obviously can't say that it's a holy grail right off the bat. I've only used it one time, but I would put really like, and I would say like probably around the range of like where I ranked the Unearthly Surrender palette, which was their Valentine's Day mystery box palette, just because I have similar feelings about it. Like both can create really nice neutral looks, but have also really fun pops of color in them. So I would put it around there. So, but I do think like this neutral look could easily be one of my favorites that I go back for all the time. So it could, as time goes on, go up higher. I don't know if the like Christmassy vibe of it will deter me from using it more. We'll see, but I really, really like this neutral look. So part of me feels like I'm just going to end up reaching for it throughout the year anyway. But yeah, we will do 2 more looks so that we hit an even 7 so we can be a full week of makeup. But yeah, let's keep it moving on to day number 6. Okay, I realized that I don't think I talked through what I actually had on my face. So I talked through the mattes for sure. I think I said that I used Peace on the lid, and then we did Frosty and Starry here and here. I also had the shade Snowy, the white, already. So technically it's a mix of Frosty and Snowy on the inner corner. Anyways, okay, just to clarify, that's what's on the eyes. On the face, I used my same 2 foundations mixed that I've been talking about, the NARS concealer, the Danessa Myricks cream contour, my NARS like light reflecting under eye, as well as the concealer. Used my Flawless filter as like a liquid highlight, went over that with foundation, applied some Kosas powder, used my Gucci bronzer, my Lunar Beauty and Laura Lee Full Fantasy blush palette. We combined these 2 blush shades. That's my favorite combo of this palette. Every time I reach for this, it's combining those 2 blush shades. But anyways, and then for the highlight, we used the Glamlite and Ghost Face highlighter. I used the top shade here. And then on the lips, we have the About Face Lip Color Butter in Pamplemousse. So I think that's pretty much it. Oh, if you care about the lashes, they are the Kiss Lash Couture Luxe Extensions collection, the ultimate. Okay, anyways, they're the style Velvet. I got these at Ulta one time. And I actually really like them. They're kind of fun for they remind me of some of my more dramatic lashes without being totally dramatic. Oh, in the waterline, we have the Haus Labs eyeliner in Beige Matte. So there we go. That's everything. So now we'll move on to day number 6. Okay, day 6, I used one of the stripy shades, and I have thoughts. Of course, when I said stripy shades, I acted like you knew which palette I used, but we used the Adept Element 115. So I used the, let me talk through the mattes I used first. So we used the shade Specimen, which is the most gorgeous, deep navy shade. I did that just as like a wing, like a shadow wing first, and was tempted to just leave the look there. Like, it was so beautiful. And then we blended it out a little bit with Propulsion, and then a little bit more with There Here, and then There Here we worked into the crease. And then I took the shade Classified, and I actually reached out to the brand because I was like, how are you supposed to use? Like, what is the intent of the rainbow shades? Like, how are they supposed to be used? And they sent me a video that showed somebody like swiping, like swatching in like a straight line. Like, so just going like that, and then you have it on your finger, and then they wanted you to apply it like that, so to speak. So you maintain the stripiness of it. And I actually had also reached out to my friend Daria, who has the Rainbow Raider palette from them, which has similar striped shades, and she said this, that's how she uses it. She warned me though, she was like, it is like, you do have to think through it. Like, you have it on your finger and then you're like, okay, how do I want it? So because I wanted the lighter shade on top, I basically like swatched it upside down on my finger so that when I went like that, it was just there. So that's how I got the initial application. Now, the brand said that the stripes are like too small theoretically for anybody to get their brush into, but I challenged that a little bit. So I used the Morphe M124, and I took like, do you see, do you see, this is what the brush looks like, and I want you to see, like, see how I can get kind of like a thin line with it. So I just went into the line like sideways like this, and then followed the stripes that I had created with my finger to build each shade up. And I feel like I really like how this look turned out. I have been wearing this look for, let's see, like 4.5 hours now, I would say. So I really, really enjoy it. I thought this was super fun. Was this the easiest to apply? No. But when I was talking to my friend Daria, she had said too, like, sometimes just like lean into the craziness, like create a tie-dye effect on the lid, you know? So I don't think it has to be a perfect application, but I really liked how like I did get like, I feel like you can see the teal, the light pink, the darker pink, and then the darker like purpley shade. And I feel like it just like looks super cool with this look. So I was a big fan of it. I liked it. I know some of you had questions. Now I will say I did have some fading, so I did build those shades back up before filming just so you could get a better feel for what it looked like, but it did fade on me. But I always have fading like right here, and I think because the stripes, like the way they're sitting, I think it made it more noticeable, if that makes sense. Like where I always fade is where this like lighter pink is, and the lighter pink is like not as bright as the teal. So long story short, that's how it is. And then I feel like Adept's shadows, I think they say it on their site. I don't know if it says it for this particular palette, but typically they say they apply better to like a glitter glue or something. So maybe if I did my finger with a glitter glue, that would work. I feel like glitter glues tend to crease more on me, so I don't know, I'd have to think through that. But anyways, what I have on the rest of my face. So I did my same foundation, concealer, under eye brightener, cream contour that I've been doing. And then I did the About Face Cheek Freak in Get Some. This was my cream blush. And then for powder, went in with my Gucci bronzer again. And then we used the Full Fantasy blush palette, the collab between Lunar Beauty and Laura Lee Los Angeles, and combined those two shades again. And then for highlight, we went into the Blend Buddy Noctilucent highlight, and I used the shade Transient, which is just like a green highlighter. And then on the lips, I have the About Face Lip Color Butter in Pamplemousse. And then on, like in my waterline, I have the About Face Blue is the New Black liner. And I will say I liked this look a little bit better before I made it like super dark and smoky underneath. So I don't know how I would have done it differently, but when I just had like the top, it was really pretty. So anyways, I'm really happy with this Adept palette though so far. Like these mattes blended really nicely, and I think it's really cool that they went pretty purple by working this in, but I think if you worked these three together, it would definitely give more of a blue look. So yeah, I have a lot of ideas of other stuff I want to do. I think the other shimmers look pretty. I kind of want to try like this shimmer, this stripe shimmer, but with like pull in like a different palette that has more like orangey toned mattes. I think that could be really fun. But anyways, we will move on to the next look. And I actually meant to do this look yesterday, but didn't end up doing my makeup yesterday. So we're a day behind. So tomorrow is Christmas Eve. So you will get to see my Christmas Eve makeup for this makeup diaries. Here is day 7, I think, right? We're day 7. It's Christmas Eve and my husband's vacuuming. So if you hear the vacuum, I'm sorry, but I only have like a few minutes to film this. But anyways, this is my Christmas Eve glam. So I, of course, had to use the Christmas Eve palette from Oden'S. I only used a few shades though because I really wanted a neutral look. And to be honest, there are neutral shades, but they can't like build on each other in a way that I would feel is cohesive. So I had to pull in some different palettes, but I used the shade Snowflake on the first portion of my lid, and then I used the shade Silvery Dream on the second portion, and then I did work softly into the crease, and then I combined it with one of my palettes that I gifted myself for Christmas. This is the Trixie Cosmetics and Juno Birch collab. So I used these 3 mattes in the crease with that shade from the Oden'S palette, and then this shade, oops, this shade of the white is what is in the inner corner. So we have a matte white inner corner. On my face, I have same old in the way of concealer, foundation, contour. For my cream blush, cool. For my cream blush, I have the Magic Brownie blush from Half Magic, and I know it looks sad in here, but I actually broke the little individual carton, and I had this empty palette, so I just threw it in here. I'm gonna probably buy more of the blushes because I really like them, but also so this isn't a lonely ghost anymore. And then powder products, Gucci bronzer, Blend Bunny Bare Cheeks, and I just realized I never put highlighter on. So I'll add some highlight. at some point before I go. But anyways, yeah, this is the finished look. I really like it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know which look was your favorite in the comments, and I will see you all next time. Bye!